Personal and financial.
Personal, financial, 40% of the super.
Will the meeting please come to order? Will you join me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence on the passing of the former mayor Joseph Zuccarelli. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Mrs. Miller, please call the roll.
Council President Zamora.
Here.
Councilman First.
Here.
Councilwoman Jenkins. Here. Councilman Kaplan.
Here.
Councilwoman Takac. Here. Councilman Paff.
Here.
Mayor Dobies.
Here.
Attorney Eiffel.
This meeting is being held in full compliance with the Sunshine Law, and all provisions of the law have been fulfilled. We're going to change the meeting format a little bit today to give a representative of the Zuccarelli family, Mr. Joseph DeSenza, time to address the council. Mr. DeSenza.
Thank you. Mayor Dobies, Council President Ron, Councilmen and Councilpersons. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words about my late father-in-law, former Mayor Joseph Zuccarelli. Those of you who knew him knew how strong a man he was. There was no gray area for him. It was either black or white. He loved his family, his country, and this town with all his might. He would often refer to Middlesex Borough as the best little town in New Jersey. I don't think many of the borough residents realize what he accomplished as mayor in only 2 short years. Back then, I think the term was only 2 years. Mountain View Park belonged to the Plainfield Sewer Authority. You can still see the old treatment plant that's located in the back of the park. It took a great deal of effort on his part and his political skills to get the powers to be to agree to sell that land to the borough. He personally spent many hours contacting associates he knew in Plainfield and Denellen. Many of the associates he served with on the board of directors of the Representative Savings and Loans. He was also concerned about the overdevelopment of the town. He arbitrarily put a freeze on all land sales to developers and builders. The town owned most of the vacant land at that time. He petitioned the Board of Education to locate the high school on the recently acquired Mountain View Park land. They were planning to locate the school, the new high school, on Marlborough Avenue, using both sides of the street. What a fiasco that would have been. He also forced them to accept the land that Hazelwood School is currently located on for the sum of $1. The board didn't think they would ever need it, but the price was right. Through his Industrial Development Committee, he was able to set in motion plans for the building of the shopping center. Mayor Zuccarelli took his first airplane ride to Washington, D.C. to meet with the controller of the currency to gain approval for the first bank to be located in this town. And finally, he fought to establish the new centralized post office in its present location on Marlborough Avenue. All this in only a 2-year term as mayor. What a dynamo. Once he had a vision, there was no stopping him in seeing its fulfillment. He will be missed, but we will enjoy his accomplishments for the many generations to come.
Thank you very much. I should mention that I had the opportunity both to talk on WCTC honoring Mayor Zuccarelli, and I did get a call just before that from the Courier News. And my recollection of Joe really was that he was so willing to help out, and that I could go to his house morning, noon, and night, and I did many times, just to seek some of his advice. The one that he always bugged me about, he loved the Elks, and he always wanted me to get involved. Well, not only me, but anybody that he would talk to more involved. So I can appreciate what you said, Joseph. I thought it was a beautiful obituary. And again, our condolences on to the family for this. Thank you very much. Again, you're more than welcome. I know you're more than welcome to stay, but I understand the situation. We have a presentation this evening. I'm going to ask Councilman Kaplan to do the introductions.
Thank you, Mayor. We have John Viola, part of that, from Wireless C&E to do a presentation regarding our narrowbanding. Has to do with our licenses and their compliancy. So, John, please take it away.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, council members, for inviting me here. By way of background, I'm a senior account manager at Wireless Communications and Electronics radio service shop, and we work very closely with original manufacturers such as Motorola, with many municipalities, counties, and even the state of New Jersey on radio systems, particularly public safety radio systems. And in fact, I worked 6 years at Motorola in that capacity as well. Just briefly, the background is, as you may be aware, the Federal Communications Commission has a mandate that all UHF and VHF license holders must be operating in what's called narrowbanding by January 1st of 2013. So that date is coming up ever so quickly. And it's the mandate, many municipalities and companies are, unfortunately, they must comply. And just think of it basically as the radio spectrum out there is just like real estate. They're not making any more of it. So what the FCC is trying to do, and we have heard many clamorings that people want more and more radio spectrum, particularly in public safety, is they're basically refarming that spectrum. So they're just taking the spectrum that's out there and they're trying to make it more efficient. But they're making you make some changes to do that. And one of those changes is making sure your equipment complies with that and can operate in that environment. But just as importantly is your FCC license must be modified. So by January 1st, 2013, your radio frequencies, your license has to be touched and it must be modified so that it is in compliance. And the FCC license is very important. It governs how much power you're allowed to put out. It governs how high your antenna can be. Dictates what types of emissions you can put out. So it's very important, and it kind of keeps the sanity in the radio spectrum so that people are not interfering with one another. And there are various referees called frequency coordinators. So for most entities, as I work with municipalities and entities in this exercise, for most municipalities, the licensing portion is usually a fairly simple modification. Usually it's nothing more than adding what's called a narrowband emissions designator. That's normally what you see, and that's a modest expense, it's a modest time and effort to do that. However, in your case, as I delve deeper into your licenses, it's become much more complicated than that. Complicated to the point where I basically say, time out, you really need to engage the services of a consultant, a professional who is an expert in FCC licensing. And why am I saying that? Well, as I look at your license, the way it is today, and the way that you are trying to operate, and some of the changes that you've made, you really need to have your license modified so that it is compliance with the way you want to operate. Because the danger is, if you are not operating in compliance with your FCC license, you are, number one, you're jeopardizing the license. If you don't modify it correctly by January 1st, 2013, you lose what's called your incumbency. And you have no rights to your incumbency. You could actually lose your license. Someone else is free to come in and try to get that license, and then you may or may not be able to get it back. So there's your first risk, is if you don't modify your license correctly by January 1st, 2013, you may lose your incumbency. The second risk is that you are exposing the municipality to potential FCC dollar fines if you are not operating correctly in your license. And you also expose outfits like us who power up that equipment. If it's not in compliance with the license, then we are also exposed. So there's a financial exposure on the part of the municipality. And what you need to do is you need to get a consultant, and there are really only a handful that really know what they're doing in this environment, who are familiar with the FCC coordinators, who are familiar with and may need the services of, let's say, an attorney in Washington to argue on your behalf with the FCC. There really are only a handful that are qualified that I would recommend to do this. And you need to have the license modified correctly so that it reflects some of the things that you want to do here in the borough, such as moving the antennas from the lower tower that you have in the parking lot to the OmniPoint tower. Anytime you want to raise your height of your antenna, anytime you want to add a new transmit site, you must get this permission from the FCC. It must be documented on your license. And the minute that you go to make that kind of a modification, where you want to say, I want to raise my antenna height, I want to change to a new location, it opens up a potential Pandora's box where frequency coordination has to get involved. Someone has to take a look at that and make sure that you're not interfering with anybody else in the surrounding area. And that's why this becomes outside the bounds of, let's say, our expertise. And you have a timeline. Typically, these will, if you engage the service of a consultant, let's say tomorrow, they will probably have to file the right paperwork with the FCC. It starts generating a case. It's going to take several weeks for it to get touched and whatever, at the minimum, and then flags could get raised. You don't know what's going to happen the next step. The important thing is to take the next step of engaging a consultant, have them file the requisite paperwork with the FCC, then be able to have enough time to address any flags that get raised or any other concerns that either the FCC has or surrounding communities may have objections. You may need to get letters of concurrence from other municipalities. You may have to agree to certain waivers. So time is working against you here. You need to get moving on this so that you have enough time so that the consultant can get the approval for you, hoping that that's the way it goes. And then once you have that approval, then the FCC will say you've been approved, and now you have a certain number of months. It could be, let's say, 5 months or 6 months. Where they say, okay, now you've been approved, now you need to construct. And then you need to certify that you constructed in that accordance. So that's really why I'm here today, is to implore you to take that next step.
I think that was an excellent presentation because it really quickly got to the meat of what the problem is. I'm going to ask Councilman Kaplan, one of the things that, because we're going into the budgeting process, was to come up with a cost analysis, but if you can get that ready so we can vote on it at the next public meeting, I would appreciate that. Absolutely. Okay?
John, one other question. In regards to our license, how they're currently, and modifications that need to be made, is there any other towns that are similar to our case that have been touched and modified?
Yes, I mean, I see different examples because I'm doing this every day. This is all I do, is work with public safety entities in radio communications. It's a very narrow focus, so I do this all the time, every day. And I see everything from, no-brainer to, I was with a customer a few months ago. We went to see their radio site. They're on the side of a mountain. They're not even licensed. It's not even on their license. And same thing, you've got to get, so I see it all the time. It's just to varying degrees.
So other towns are in worse shape than we were.
There's other towns that are in worse shape, other towns that are, and anything can happen. We touched another license for another customer, and on their license, it said that they were supposed to be constructed at a second site. Well, they never constructed at the second site, and that's, so now they had to sign with a waiver that says, please FCC, we forgot, sorry, we didn't tell you we didn't construct there, take it off the license so that everything was copacetic.
So rather than just applying for the license directly from Middlesex, you would recommend a consultant to come in because of the disarray our license is currently in?
Correct, because you are at risk of opening up Pandora's box.
And
Because-
losing our license.
And losing your license, and it, like I said, this is usually a very simple process, but in your case, based on what I've seen, this is not simple, this is not run-of-the-mill, this is where, because when you take that next step, again, it's gonna open up what's called frequency coordination with the FCC. Many eyes are going to look at the license. You are at risk of, they may say, yes, your antenna height is approved, but we're gonna lower your power so that you don't interfere with something. Now, the good news is you're not interfering with anyone. That's the good news.
Yes.
Is you aren't interfering with. There is a case up in Somerset County. It's a real problem. There is an entity up there that is interfering with New York City, and they are not within their bounds. Their license is not correct. They are in the wrong. They are going through all kinds of hoops to try to correct the situation with directional antennas and all kinds of, and it's a real problem. It can be a problem.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I do, Mayor. Tom, worst case scenario, best case scenario, how long does the whole process take?
Well, I would envision the process, once you engage the attorney, the consultant, you file the paperwork, you'll know within probably a few months whether you have much work to go or it's going to be smooth sailing. You'll know. I'd say on the best case scenario is within about 4 or 5 months, you get the green light, FCC comes back, approves it, and everything is good to go, and you're smooth sailing. Worst case is somebody comes back and says, I object, we have some issues here, we might have some negotiations going back and forth, you may need to engage the services of an attorney, and that could stretch it out another few months, okay? The absolute worst case is that you have to go back to operating the way your license originally said. I mean, that's the absolute worst case is you can't kind of do the changes that you wanted to do, but at least you won't have lost your license, and you may have to come down off the tower a little bit. You may have to modify. You may have to live within the way your licenses were originally constructed. That's kind of the worst case scenario. But at least you're covered and you've gone through the process.
And in that case, where we'd be able to use repeaters.
That's what this whole exercise is about. Is you know, when you want to transmit on repeaters, that's what the whole exercise is about.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming in, John. I know that Councilman Kaplan will be in touch with you on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to try, we have a rather large meeting tonight. The biggest part, of course, is in executive session. So I'm going to set a time limit of 10 o'clock. Now, that's not to stop anyone from talking, just my target date. We may never get it, we may go beyond that, but at least I have a target to go on. I'll just quickly go, if I may, and I'll just go over some of these communication appointments. When we, at the reorganization meeting, I actually appointed Councilman Path as Class 3 member of the Planning Board. We got a response from the Planning Board attorney that really belongs in behalf of the council members and not the mayor. So I'm asking the council to make a motion to have Councilman Path as the Class 3 representative.
So moved.
Is there any discussion? Okay. Not that I moved that far, so please call the roll.
Council President Demure?
Yes.
Councilman First? Councilwoman Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Takac?
Yes.
Councilman Path?
Yes.
I'm appointing Sheila Furman as a Class 2 member of the Planning Board. This is a mayor's appointment only. It's a one-year appointment. It has to be appointed every year. On the next one, Dick Paul came in to see me, and I asked him to stay on. His remarks were that when he talked to Mayor Scher, he was agreed that he was going to serve 2 years because he had other activities. So I would like to have the council accept his resignation from the library board. Is there a motion to such? Okay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Again, this is a councilmatic appointment. Jeanette Sproul has been a loyal user of the library for many years. I don't know the young lady, but I'm trying to bring some more people in that haven't served before. Middlesex is very fortunate that we have an abundance of volunteers. So I offer the name of Jeanette Sproul to the council for their consideration. a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Council President Demiura?
Aye.
Councilman First? Councilman Jenkins? Councilman Kaplan?
Yes.
Councilman Takash?
Yes.
Councilman Pale?
Yes.
We received something like bid, and we have to go public hearing, but look at it.
No, there's no public hearing, that's for, so we do things differently than what we give before, that's for ordinances, there's no ordinances tonight.
So we have adoption with 2 minutes. The only minutes that I could check was the reorganization minutes, and I do have a change on attendance. Anybody else have any?
Yeah, Mayor, I would like to, if we can, combine the December 20th, 2011 special meeting minutes and the executive minutes in one vote on January 1st and 11th.
That's fine. Do I have a motion? That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? We see that's not. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Again, the only change that I had was on the attendance of the council members. I think that was wrong. Michael Paff asked to be excused on the reorganization meeting, and his name is appearing as he was here. That's the only thing I have. That's correct, right? That's correct. With that change, is there any other changes in the minutes? Can I have a motion to such?
So,
Any discussion? That's going to hold me more than 2 hours. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Invitations. Go to standing committees. Council President, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. Make a motion to approve the November and December 2011 Treasurer's Report.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Also, Mr. Mayor, we're going to start our, I would propose this year that the budget process be done through with the whole council involved, not just the finance committee. I'd like to see if we can set up 2 dates to have the council sit, have the department heads come before the council and review their budget with the entire council. I was wondering if we can set a date for February 7th, Tuesday, February 7th, at 7 p.m. here.
And what's the second date?
The second date would be Tuesday, February 21st.
Is there any objections to that? You'll make arrangements with the department heads on the,
Yes.
you'll handle everything?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to that? Okay. All those in favor, anybody? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
There is one other thing, Mayor. Would I ask all the council liaisons if they can, before the 7th, take the opportunity to sit down with their department heads and go over their budgets with them, just so you have a idea of where their budget's at and any recommendations. So I would ask you to do that before the 7th.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Councilwoman Jenkins?
Takash.
Oh, that's Takash, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Kaplan?
thank you. First, I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Tim Janowski from Parker Engine Hose.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you. Also, I'd like to make a motion for Lincoln Hose to have the opportunity to attend March 11th, St. Patrick's Day Parade in Somerville.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you. Also, too, I had the opportunity to talk to John Ulrich, Board of Health Inspector. Basically, we met with the Presbyterian Church and the caregivers of the ones cats. I have an update. I just want to basically give it to the council. Here, he sent me yesterday. Basically, both attorneys have been in touch with him. A nonprofit organization has been established called Pause for Peace. Okay? The cat giver's attorney, Isabel Strauss, is waiting for the agreement letter from the church. Ellen McConnell, the attorney for the church, informed me that the agreement letter has been sent, and we'll make sure that a copy will be forwarded to him. They received the letter. I'll let the ladies in the clerk's office, once they get the letter, they'll go ahead and let Kathy, or also let her know that she can go ahead and issue the licenses for the cat.
Thank you very much for the report.
And everything's going forward with that.
Thank you. Great. That's all you have?
That's all I have.
Okay. Councilman Jenkins?
Thank you. I don't have anything from the
Okay, thank you. Please, Councilman Powell.
Thank you, Mayor. We received correspondence from CPR about funds that were available from the sale of police cars. And I wanted to ask the CFO, how to proceed, you want to take those funds and use them?
We had talked to the auditor on this, and if I may, Andrea?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We had talked to the auditor, Andrea said, actually, Corcoran had talked to the auditor, and he felt that it's borough property, and it really should go in surplus. And just looking at the conditions, since we're trying to get down as low as increase on the budget as possible, and you're hurting in your surplus area, saying that if the council was of the mind to want to do it, it's still possible. You could, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Corcoran, you could do it, but you're really, you're hurting in your surplus. Again, correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know I didn't get a dollar figure on how much it is.
Well, you have the total on the surplus? I know you put in $300,000 last year.
No.
No,
It's
no,
about the amount for the cars.
Oh, for cars,
About
$3,000.
14,000 and change that they sold for. When talking with the auditor, it really belongs to the borough, and it should go into the borough surplus. And we can increase his budget to cover.
Right, I mean,
Yeah,
next
yeah,
year,
yeah, yeah, right.
I think that's what we did last year, didn't we? Somewhere to last year?
I don't think it's
I think we
fine.
had something.
It all, yeah, goes to the borough, it, whatever they sell.
Fire.
Yeah, the fire truck went to the borough.
That's what I thought, that was the main
Right,
thing.
went to the borough.
Again, you can bring it up for discussion at the budget hearings that we said.
Right, that was my intention. All right, the other thing I had was the move to approve the December 2011 police report.
Is there a second?
Second, sir.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilman first.
I just have one item, Mayor, and that'll be under executive session.
Okay, thank you. I just have some quick ones. I will be appointing Ms. Clara LeBarn of, I probably mispronounced her name, 809 Grandview Avenue, to the Shade Tree Committee, replacing for the unexpired term with Dave Oliver. That's an appointment I have. I do not know the young lady. I did talk to her on the phone, wherever, and again, I'm trying to bring people in that haven't been serving before. I would like to add to the addition of the agenda workshop, at least for discussion, is the donation of private property from the estate of Walter Ryan Jr. And what we're talking about here is the park that we used to use at the end of Seneca, and it touches on Lincoln Boulevard. Next week, I hope to have a resolution from Ms. Corcoran to accept donations for the 100th anniversary. The money will then go into our normal expenditure approval program. So the council committee, the finance committee will be signing these, as well as anyone that's a member of that 100th anniversary. When this is approved, I will send a letter to the business community seeking sponsorship for the event, including a donation. We can advertise donors because, as you know, there hasn't been much money put aside. I'll quickly go over a couple. I attended Senator Lautenberg's Economic Development Administration Disaster Relief Grant Seminar in Douglas College. It's about $200 million. It's shared by the whole East Coast and 2 islands. And I would say we have about maybe less than 1% chance of getting anything, because it really goes through the county. But I'll look at it further, but I'm not optimistic. I did have a discussion, quite a long discussion this morning with one of our employees, and I feel that it's my responsibility as mayor to to really provide some sort of backing of our staff. And so I made this comment, cowardly attacks on the form against one of our staff. I have never read what is printed on the form, though I've had in the past. From what I've heard, it's some people who have an axe to grind and they like to make accusations that aren't normally true and criticize people. As politicians, I can see us getting ridiculed and criticized, and I have no problems with that. But I always felt that if they're talking about our employees, then it should not happen. This particular employee, and I'm not going to mention his name, is now affecting his family. Besides him, and I can understand that. The other thing I have, I did put in your box tonight, the known projects that are incomplete. What I would like you to do before the next meeting is add any that you have in addition to that, so we can come up with them. And what I've outlined is those that I think we have ready to go or assign people to work on, whether it be the mayor and council, the borough attorney, or the borough engineer. And I think, isn't that enough for me? I think so. I'm not in case you come to this, but okay, we'll do that. You sent it to me? Yep.
Excuse me, Mayor? You said you put something in our box?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm confused. What is it?
It was just a list.
It was a
Yeah.
list of,
Just it?
No, oh, maybe, yeah, next time we'll have
Okay.
Did everybody get one?
When did you, yeah, they did.
I just missed my notes, I don't see it.
Okay, you'll go in, you'll let it, but you'll have it by.
And all it is what you've worked on last year that are incomplete on our thing. But I wrote on these things whether they're active and who I know is working on it. Like I think it's, for the first three are negotiations, and you know they're active because there's a negotiating team of Councilman First, Councilman Premier, President Councilman Premier, and myself. Okay, so that's what it really all about.
Resolution 3612 is a refunding of street opening permit number 2008-009 for 456 Voorhees Avenue. Resolution 3712, refunding a fee for certificate of leased occupancy for 540 Balbrook Road. Resolution 3812 is appointing Michael Paff as the mayor's representative and Vic Capolongi as the governing body representative to the HUD committee for 2012. Resolution 3912, extending the rights of entry for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to conduct soil borings and survey for the Greenbrook Local Flood Reduction Project. Resolution 4012, renewing code licenses for 2012. Resolution 4112 is renewing junkyard licenses for 2012. Resolution 4212 is approving the execution of the MCUA temporary discharge approval application for the groundwater generated from the remediation activities at the neighborhood garage site.
Is there any question on any of the consent items?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. I would separate resolution 40-12.
Okay. With the exception of resolution 40-12?
Yeah.
Can I have a motion to accept all others except 40-12?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please vote roll.
Council President Zamora?
Yes.
Councilman Burst?
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan?
Yes.
Councilman Takash?
Yes.
Councilman Paff?
We're going to, I separated some of the items that was. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
40-12.
Go ahead.
Okay. We need to make a motion and then, is that discussion? Okay, make a motion to, actually, I can't make a motion. I want
Just want to fight it.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution 40-12.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Okay, yes, there is.
You're new.
40-12, I'd like to go ahead and pull that and table it for now and take a look at the ordinance. And we have to have these towing companies adhere to the ordinance. And from my understanding, they're not doing that currently. And I can get a letter out to them so they understand what their job is to clean up these sites, to put down speed dry, have speed dry on the trucks, to comply with the ordinance before we go ahead and pass this and renew the contract.
Should we bring in that?
Is there any other discussion on the changes recommended by Councilman Kaplan? Okay, so what we're gonna do now, we're gonna vote on the change. Okay, first of all, there was the second and the vote, and the discussion is to table it. Okay, is there a second to that? Okay, I have a second. Any discussion on that? Okay, we're gonna vote on that. Please call roll.
Council President Zamira?
Yes.
Councilman First?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan? Councilwoman Takac?
Yes.
Councilman Pan?
Yes.
Okay, now you're gonna vote on the entire resolution as amended. Please call the roll. Yeah, it's still, I think you have to do it, what did you say, you have to do that?
It's going to be tabled.
That's gonna be tabled, sorry. I guess I'm still learning. Okay, we're going into the consent, non-consent agenda. And here, what I'm doing, I had discussions with both the council president and Councilman First about trying to move things a little faster that we had, and I try to provide information. I'm looking for up and down type votes, and I think I provided the information that I had on hand. And it's up to the council whether they accept that recommendation that I gave, or to seek further information. So I'll start with 43-12. Kathy, can you just read it, please?
Resolution 4312, increasing the hours for Ryan Patel to 30 hours per week to handle all IT communications and the website effective February 1, 2012, at $35 per hour.
Now, is there a motion to accept that?
Mr. Mayor, I have a motion to table this.
Okay. There's a motion to table 43-12. Is there a second?
Second.
Did you want to express any?
Yes. I think at this time, I think we need to go through the budget process and see where we are before we make a decision on this issue right now. So I'm just asking it to be tabled, hopefully until we get through the budget process.
It would be your responsibility to talk to Mr. Zittle, so he doesn't be nervous, okay? Thank you. There's a motion, there's a second, is there any further discussion?
Yeah, can I make a suggestion that not only for the finance committee, but it should go through the administration committee to see whether indeed 30 hours are warranted? And then if the administration committee agrees, then refer to the finance committee for, see if there's money available.
That's not a problem.
That's good.
There is about $50,000 available, I think, Andrea, is that right? From last year?
No.
Okay.
So I would recommend then, Mayor, this time to forward to the administration committee so they can make a recommendation from the budget process.
Okay, when all the changes, we're going now to the administration process, all those in favor, any more questions? Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 4412, extending the employment of the 4 intermittent part-time Department of Public Work employees until October 31st, 2012.
I gotta go back. A minute. The problem that I have, and I just realized that, the problem I have is that I when I wrote your letter, there is a resolution on Mr. Zattel that runs out of money, I believe, the 27th of January. So you're gonna have to do something, otherwise, I can't use it. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
Andrea? There was a resolution that granted so much money, that money's gone.
That was for last.
That was
That was
last year.
December 31st.
Right.
So as I understand it, I mean, if we do nothing, the way I understand it is that it would continue at the $20,000 maximum that we had last year.
We'll make the decision to change.
Correct?
And Boyer says that's correct.
You have to want to do that.
That-
That's
That's
what-
that's correct, that would be fine.
That's why we pay these lawyers.
Yeah.
Don't let me get killed.
It does make me feel better.
Okay,
The second one I read already, I'll repeat that. It's resolution 4412, extending the employment of the 4 intermittent part-time Department of Public Works employees until October 31st, 2012.
there's a change in the in the definition here, before I even asked for a vote on this, and that's from part-time to intermittent, and we don't have I don't think we received a call back from the state yet. The problem that we have is that if we call them part-time temporary, we could be asking that they would have to be put in the pension system. And Andrea looked into this, I do have a definition later on. There's a possibility if you call them intermittent and you break them up throughout the year, in the case here I was taking the last 2 months away, that would probably qualify. But again, we're waiting to discuss it with the state. This again was one of those that you allocated them to work the month of January. Okay. And if you remember last year, you paid their salaries from the recycling trust, and I understand at this point, we just about depleted the recycling trust. So whether you go for the whole thing or a small amount of the thing, if I don't get something today, they're gone, in my opinion. I make mistakes, so don't worry about it.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend the resolution.
Yes.
Amend it to continue to have them employed until March 31st.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. I assume you're picking March 31st because that's the time you're going to hopefully have a discussion with the budget.
That has to do with the budget process, and also too, it makes sure that they're not short-handed if we're still in the snow season, so that's the reason why.
Excellent. Okay, is there any, is there any discussion on the amendment to go to the end of March?
Yeah, actually, I would like to see some justification of why the need to extend them to even October. I think we should review the productivity of the DPW department, see whether indeed it's necessary. If it is necessary, obviously extend it, but I think this time it'd be fiscally irresponsible for us just to say, well, the cold weather's coming, let's extend hours.
Yeah, one of the things, if you read my remarks, is that when I had the talk on the reorganization meeting, I talked about a potential for 6. That's no longer on my table. And what I was interested in is the council going to go and have twice a week pickups during the warm months, so namely May, June, July, and August. If that's it, then we would use those people instead of 12 hours a week, actually 24 hours, leaving only 6. If you do look at the write-up that's in the back, there is some sort of justification, maybe not to everybody's satisfaction, and surely writing it up until August 33rd, March 31st will give us more time to provide that data.
Well, I would like to see it go to the DPW committee again, and let them make the recommendation to the council to see whether indeed it's a just request.
I think that you brought up a point where we're going to discuss the garbage pickup later on in the meeting. So it's on the agenda. So maybe we can decide on this issue after that issue is talked about.
I don't have any problem with council committees working on these. I would like to take the chair of the next person there and allow me to be there, because I'm here full time. Not all the council can make it, which prolongs some of these activities. And I'm not trying to tell you which way to work or which way to go. But again, that's up to the council. If the council wants to do these all their own, God bless you, I have other things to do. So whatever you decide, the motion that's on the table right now is to go to the 31st of March.
I do have a response to Councilman first. Yeah, we do have to be fiscally responsible, and that's why I pushed it back, to only 2 months. If it doesn't snow, yeah, we probably shouldn't have done it. If it does, and we are short-handed, then we're jeopardizing the safety of the residents of the community. So I think for the 2 months, the cost of that is worth it to make sure that the safety of the community is taken into consideration for those 2 months.
And they're cutting all that grass right now.
Okay, there's a motion to move it to the 31st of March. Second. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Council President DeMuro,
Yes.
Councilman First,
No.
Councilman Jenkins,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Councilman Takash, yes, Councilman Path,
No.
And my conference motion.
motion passed. Resolution 4512, approving the proposal from Mazer Consulting for $7,000 to finalize the update of the Middlesex Borough tax map.
Before you go into it, we did talk to Mr. Betts and Ms. Corcoran on this, and I think both of them, at least Frank Betts has given it to us. Henry's note to me was $2,000 charge has already been submitted for signatures. The funds are coming out of the reserve monies in engineering. There's also enough money in the reserves budget to cover the $5,000. That was Ms. Corcoran's response to me. So if I have a motion to that now. Apparently it has to be done. It was more than was anticipated at the time. And I think you all have a copy of the note that Vision had sent. Are we going to die for
Motion.
we have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I do have a question in the statement from Mazer Engineering. I guess for the $5,000 fee, is this something that we pay if we need to get a set of these plans, or are we paying this no matter what, whether we need a set of the plans or not?
When you talk about the map, right, the digital map,
It says this service does not include any submittal of division of taxation. It does include 2 reduced sets of plans to be submitted to the borough for their review and markup. And after review, 2 full sets of plans along with 2 reduced 11 by 17 sets of plans will be submitted. Any additional printing will be performed at our normal reproduction department cost. This scope of service will be performed within 30 or 45 days of receipt, notice to proceed. It says if needed. Am I reading that wrong, or is it just something that we're going to get? And we don't have a choice if we need it or not?
you always have a choice. All I can tell you right now is in talking to Mr. Betts, he felt that this was a necessary thing to complete the digital map. And I would hold him to the, I would not see why there has to be anything further beyond this, but again, I don't know if this is something you have to vote on tonight. Again, I don't know, I haven't looked at the signatures on the bill. I know the $2,000 was submitted and probably signed already. So if you want to hold the $5,000 until I get more information, I don't have any problem with that.
Where's the $5,000 coming from?
It's from last year.
Whole project is really started.
Okay. All right.
So we're going with the whole thing, is that it?
I do have one question. Digital tax map, once the master plan is done, that should be completed when?
Well, I talked to them, I thought it was going into the final pretty soon. Anybody on the planning board or zoning board that can get, I can't remember who I even talked to be honest with you, but they said it was in the draft form at this point.
Draft form.
And that was back in early January.
So how far are we away?
Guesstimate, I would say it should be to you by March 1st. That's a guesstimate.
If you were to take that and wait till the master plan is completed, forward that with the tax map, that'll adjust a lot of things currently.
Well, I would hope, what they're doing on this is really a change in how they categorize the lots. And I'm not an expert on this, but in one case, we used to use like 140A. They're no longer using that, but they're doing 140.01 and that kind of thing. So that's the changes that are now required in there. So they should have taken all of the new changes that are coming, should have. That doesn't necessarily mean like they
But if they're still in review, then they won't accept the changes yet. It's not gonna make it, the master plan will change, and we'll have to pay for changes again once it hits the tax map. Because if they have an R80 lot, R100 lot, and they took it, combined it, and made a duplex out of it.
That's my understanding. They've done that already. There's no change. I didn't understand.
Yeah, I think the master plan that you're talking about, but he's going to probably, that would be even more, like, changes that have to be made after the fact, like you're saying.
Can we incorporate that to be a cheaper price all at once?
I don't know.
Well, number one, this is the last job that Mason doing this for.
Yeah.
It's going over to T&M.
Okay. So he's
We
gonna.
felt that we should do this.
When we discussed it with T&M, they thought that it would be appropriate for Mazer to finish, complete the job.
Okay.
And then, and the other thing is the county tax board is looking for these new maps as of like the beginning of this year, because we've been putting it off for
Okay, fair enough.
10 years and something.
Thanks for that.
Okay, we're still on a motion to approve the 2005
The second.
and there's a second. Is there any other further discussion? Please call the roll.
Council President Zamira?
No.
Councilman First?
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins?
No.
Councilman Kaplan? Councilman Takash?
Yes.
Councilman Pat?
Yes.
Have you read?
Do I get a vote?
Something to say? Yeah.
Four passed.
Yes.
Motion carried. Okay. We got a resolution.
Yes, we do. Resolution 4612, payroll claims.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the bills? Have all bills been signed, Council President?
I believe so. If anybody has none, it's right here.
Please call the roll.
Council President Zamira?
Yes.
Councilman First?
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins?
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan?
Yes.
Councilman Takash? Yes. Councilman Pat?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Mayor, can you just go back to 41-44-12? What was the final decision? Did we vote to table it, or we vote to go through?
4112?
I believe it passed
Yes.
to extend the tax rate
Yes.
first.
No, they voted to
Amended.
amend it, and I didn't take the vote of Takash on that because she has an employee in there, so I took every vote but hers. Her husband works for the DPW, so I can't include her in that vote. And matter of fact, to be honest with you, the executive committee, I would like to have the discussions on the contract last, so she could be in on the other four, and then she would exit at that point. And please, I should have said that ahead of time, please remind me if these things come up, sometimes I forget, but that's what I had to do
So it does pass.
It just passes it.
without it. Okay, I want to go quickly through this, if I can, through this, if I may, the Green Acres enabling resolution. We're going to be discussing this to pass it next time. This is really getting to 25%. And I really don't want to go into a lot of discussion, but people talk about the Blue Grant. It's really, in our case, Green Acres. Green Acres and Blue Grant is the same. So instead of confusing people, we'll have the resolution, and we'll have Joanne here next week to discuss it in more detail. Is that fine? We're going to be out in the audience good? This one, I'm going to turn it into committee because this, was not. Does anyone on the council have any comments to make on item number 2? Would you read it, please?
The recommendation of the planning board to amend chapter 420-7, 420-23, and 420-24, and chapter 48-17 of the Borough Code.
Does any council have a point of discussion or any comments?
Yes, I do have some comments. Last year, I was chairman of the administration committee, Mayor, and I had asked the planning board, I believe back at the end of June, to answer 2 simple questions in reference to the zoning. And this ordinance that we're talking about is the storage of trailer boats or trailers or any type of that storage on their property. I asked them, basically, the committee asked, after sitting with the committee, we asked them to define what a side yard was and also what a side and front yard was for a corner lot, because there seemed to be some confusion on that. 6 months later, basically, we received a letter on December 19th. Well, it was written on December 19th. We didn't receive it until January 5th. in reference to this. They did answer our 2 questions, and they have a bunch of other stuff on there. Yeah, I'm really disappointed with the way the planning board handled this whole process. I believe that some members of the planning board basically chose to put their political gain or political gain of other people ahead of what might have been right or wrong for people of Middlesex. And I believe that this letter that they've sent to us and some of the omissions that they recommend does not look out for the every resident of Middlesex Borough. They did give us our answers that we were looking for. So Mayor, what I would ask you to do is since Councilman First and myself over the last 2 years, over the last year and a half or so, in dealing with this, I'd like to ask if the 2 of us can get together and make a recommendation, working with the code official, and make a recommendation to the council so we can finally get this ordinance taken care of and the people with their boats and trailers know where they can put their
I don't have any problem with that. If you will take with the council president, if it's in your really area, and try and get back to us maybe by the next meeting, at least with some sort of
I
recommendation.
think we'll be able to, that's not a problem.
I don't know what the next one can be.
Light towers request to install fiber optic cable. That's just the cable company that, it's come before us a couple of times before, and this is another company that wants to install fiber optic cable in the borough. We've had that before. I think you might be able to talk a little bit on that.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I've had an opportunity to review a right-of-way use agreement and a proposed draft resolution. There are a couple of points regarding indemnification that I'd like to call to light now with the other signature of this agreement. The borough is protected on 2 counts. First, on street opening. Borough residents will probably know when someone opens up the street never goes back to the way it used to be. So we'd like to have some assurances that street opening that occurs as a result of laying fiber optic cables will result in the streets being put back as near as possible to that condition, or at least have some sort of bonding so that the township, or I'm sorry, the borough can step in and complete that work if it's not completed to satisfaction. But aside from that, I have no other comments, legal comments at least, regarding the agreement, the proposed agreement.
Just a question, do we reap any benefits from this, with this company or another company?
That would have to be a council decision. It's not coming at a cost to the borough.
I understand that, but again, it's going to disrupt our area when we're doing stuff like that.
It could, but the cable would have to be laid no matter who would be laying this cable. There's no one company that I'm aware of that would have an advantage because they have cables already going through. A secondary concern would be obviously we want borough residents, when we upgrade our systems from DSL to fiber optics, to be first in line to be able to.
I just remember when the cable was being the first time, there was an incentive to watch, and what I'm talking about is trying to get some sort of grant, or we're trying to keep it back as much as possible. And I'm not trying to chase business with out of town, but it's things like this, if it's legal and everything, it can do something.
It does appear to be, I don't see other problems legally from that, but obviously the concern of the board members so that the residents benefit from it is paramount.
Okay, we're going to turn this over to the attorney for further investigation. The next one's quick. I passed out a sample of a cultural art advisory committee. I now have 3 people who are interested. Barbara Ferris, Dina, and I talked recently to Jack Mikulakchik. He has a very broad background in entertainment, and I'm impressed. I'm probably looking for more people. The reason why we're trying to bring some activities in the town, similar to what they do in the county, but making them a commission, if you decide to make them a commission, what that allows them to do is raise money outside of the cost of the borough. And that's why we would like to. So I'm asking you to take a look at this. There's no hurry on it. I'd like to have something done by the end of February, if possible. Take a look at it. That was tonight. I copied, to be honest with you, I copied, what do you call that, plagiarization? I did Piscataway and made some modifications of my own. So I would appreciate if the council committee would look into that. The garbage pickup, again, I talked about this on the reorganization meeting, and I feel it's both a health hazard, and I'm asking the council to consider twice a week garbage pickup, May, June, July, and August. And again, I'm not asking for an addition of staff if the 4 intermediate employees are going to be hired at a later time. We would have to work the 24 hours on the sanitation pickup. Is there any way that we can at least give me an up or down vote on that tonight? Would anybody move a
I
motion?
guess you can get a consensus, right?
What?
Just, you're looking for consensus then?
Actually, I'd like to have more than that so I can start, but if that's all I get, then I guess I'll take what I can.
Well, when do you need a resolution?
We need a resolution, but it needs to be assembled. To have the sanitation pick up those 4 months.
No, again, I mean, I'm not, well, I don't know if I should do this now, but I mean, again, I think it should go back to the committee, let the committee decide whether indeed there's a need, and if there's a need, obviously move forward with it. Just to haphazardly say, well, let's do it May to August, I mean, why not April to September? I mean, there's gotta be some parameters, there's gotta be justification, we just can't say willy-nilly, well, we think it's needed, let's vote for it.
I take exception with your willy-nilly. I don't just pull these things out of the hat. I do spend a lot of time on it.
I'm sure you
And
do.
I've looked at that, and I've heard a lot of people talk about the problems they had with animals, especially in May, June, July, and August. They're the months that people have talked to me personally about. So this is what I'm bringing to the council. And again, I tell you, many activities that I bring before the council is not in addition to the funding of what you're doing now, is moving money around that's in the current budget. So I'm not adding extra money to the situation. Again, if you want to do a consent, I can live with that. I would still like to move ahead as quick as possible. We're going to be putting out a borough directory pretty quick, and I need some answers before we put that out.
Well, my recommendation is put it into the committee, let the committee, again, review it, and then make the recommendation.
I will put that in committee hesitation, and I don't want it to be stuck in a committee for 3 or 4 months. So whatever committee has that, well, we don't have a motion either way. One wants a consensus, one wants a, put it in committee. Can I get a motion one way or another?
If we put a time frame in the committee,
Pardon?
they have to meet within a certain amount of time.
Again, at the end of February, we did drop dead date, because we gotta get the borough directory on.
So let's make that stipulation. By the time you
You want
need
to make
it,
a motion to that effect?
Okay.
that refer to the committee, and the committee has until the end of February to get back to you or to the council.
That sounds good?
No, how about to the 14th,
February 14th.
February 14th?
That's fine.
Okay, we're not on the 14th. Is everybody acceptable to that?
Yes.
All right. I'm not gonna ask for a vote. Where are we at?
You're at 6.
Okay, the Marisol agreement, it was a 10-year agreement. We're out as of September of last year, so we're due for another 10-year agreement. And my question to the council is, I'm here all day, but I can set meetings, or if the council wants to handle it themselves, that's fine. I think we ought to move very quickly on this. I've been informed that there is new stipulation. I talked to Councilman Kaplan last night, matter of fact, so we may not have the latitude we had at one time. So I'm open to the council's wishes. If they want to do it, if they want me to do it, or if they want me to do it with a couple of council people, no more than 2, that's whatever your wishes are.
I'd like to have you open the meeting with 2 council people.
Does anyone else feel that way, or do
I have no problem with that, Mayor.
anybody else volunteer to come with it? How about the mayor and 1 councilman first?
It works.
Okay, I'll set up a meeting in the evening to meet with Marisol.
It's Veolia, and that's why it's the old Marisol.
Marisol's been
Yeah.
I thought I gave a thing on, I thought I gave a letter of a typical resolution for grant consultant, namely Joanne, who's our consultant for flooding. And my concern here is she's been, I gave a copy to council back on the, looks like the 17th of January. And I gave you that to consider. And you know that Joanne has been successful in a lot of towns to make grants, not only flooding grants, but beyond that. We talked about times where there's possibility to get fire trucks. Councilman Kaplan and I have talked, and others have talked to me about it. The downside of this is she will tell you what grants are available. She will tell you the possibility of success, 95, 50. It would be up to the council to decide. The downside is if she gets the grants, then the money comes out of the grant for her time. The downside is, however, we lose the grant, we have to pay for it. And I believe that was probably pretty much what you did with the last one. Was that right?
Yes.
So again, I'm not pushing for an answer.
Mayor, can we invite her to come to the 14th meeting and so we can ask her something and see what her success rate and these type of grants are and everything else?
Yep. Okay. Moving right along. I'm not sure, I didn't put the South Avenue, I guess. South Avenue, improvement, is this the bridge or the show?
That's the one on Sherwood South, yeah, that's.
I understand that what we need here is I have to sit down with Mayor Waller and find out what our cost would be before we talk about doing anything. Or just done already. There was 2 South Avenues that I thought.
Well, one was the bridge.
One is with the bridge, and most of the property, I believe, is in the Piscataway side. There was also a letter from a appraisal firm asking us if we wanted to use them since they were going to be the same ones they were doing the Piscataway.
That's in the state.
Mary's only 10 properties, I was trying to get a look at. I think it makes sense to utilize the same company.
I agree.
Utilize it this way, we get the same.
Right, I think there's 21 lots that are affected, 23 of them are from Middlesex, so I think it would make sense that.
All right, so is everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
Kathy, let's get a cost what it's going to be, just probably.
I guess that was Mr. Clarkman's office.
Yes.
The next one is extend the working hours of the construction official. I'm asking for 1 month based upon, and I did give you some of the stuff, and I'm not convinced that I can go beyond the 1 month. I'm going to go beyond the 1 month because we still have some work. And that we gave you, there's a document that was passed and we gave some of the things that passed, and I think that passed them to you. So what I'm asking the council tonight to extend to 30 hours for 1 month, and the cost would be $1,200 for him and $480 for construction. Clerk for a total of $69. And again, money is basically not using the budget. So we have a conflict.
I have no problem with that.
Can I just have a quick resolution?
Well, I think we have to do that because it expires on the 31st, so I think we have to do something.
So right quick. Okay, the last one I have is one that I really feel is important, mainly because I don't have a lot of data for it, unfortunately. The records, for one reason or another, below 2010, do not really available. I would like to go back and vote the bill schedule, provide more services to people. Walking around like this, people have asked for more time. And when I was here the last time as mayor, it was a threat if we were putting recycles in our garbage. And they could get rid of our sanitation. We move our trucks back up. I don't know if that's still true. But I think it warrants, I think this is one of the services that's worth our while. It does affect our grants. I do know that we lost about 43 ton of hardwood. I do know that the companies are directly to Colgate, but we're not only reaping the benefit of the dollar value, but we're not getting any reports on the tonnage for the market. And also, the weather was down, but we do not have the exact numbers. So, I would like to start this effective February 1st.
Again, we need a resolution for it, right? I have no problem with that. Since increasing the hours is not going to cost the borough additional dollars. And I know when we did it last year, the goal was to try to free up a man or two for work, and when it was actually all done, it didn't really free up anybody, so I have no problem with that. I think we need to open this a little more.
People have asked why start at 6 o'clock, and a lot of our people that are working, they like to come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, drop it off, and they do feel. What I will do is I'll have a police post, so I can start how many's in there, not only that time, but throughout the day. Because we might want to move it later on. It might be better sometimes to have 2 late nights instead of 1, but still stay within.
Can we get those facts before we make a decision whether we should increase the hours?
Well, I think I'm recommending we do that now. I understand what you want, but that's going to be a long time. But I think people need this. And the other thing I want to do, and I've made some changes already, which I thought were going to be the borough, and that's, they commingle all colors of glass, and all the metals are commingled now, with the exception of aluminum. Because any of our people that buy this stuff are using conveyor belts with either magnets or colored trays that are separating them anyway. So I make our residents put them into 3 different things. I'm asking the council to consider moving to this in February. And it's up to you whether you...
Again, I have no problem with it. As far as getting any additional information, I think basically what that might do is we might adjust the hours in a day or something, but keeping it open is, I think, more important. It's like I said, it's not costing the borough any additional money, and I think we should...
There's no overtime involved. I've already knocked that out. Let me see, you did this last year, so there's no change on that. On Mondays when we're closed, there is a dumpster put outside the fence that if anybody wants to put their leaves or grass, they can do it on their own. Then that dumpster is brought back into the site Tuesday through Saturday. So we're gonna have a resolution right here. I heard at least one person was agreeable. Anybody else?
Mayor and Council President, I do have a question. During the hours they are closed, there is currently manpower all last year there, correct?
There's at least, Keith...
They were here 7 days a week.
They were here 7 days a week. Was it 7? Or 6?
Except they're on Sunday.
I'm sorry, I meant 5 days a week. I should have said 6 days.
6 days, but there was always manpower in there anyway, so you can get open, there's no additional charges.
No, you're right. Samanish wasn't always here because he worked that shift, so we didn't have to work overtime. So on Monday, it's basically Keith who has responsibility for cleaning up, but also delivering some of the loaded things. You're right, so it was a 6-day operation. Okay, we're gonna have a resolution, whether it goes up or down, on approving the schedule as presented. Okay. I just want to quickly, I guess I was going to have one thing. Okay, I'm not going to push for an answer at this time, but because I'm not sure everybody got this. There was 2 things that came from the estate of Walter Ryan. I'll make sure you get a copy if you haven't got this one. This is the little, what we used to call Parkett Park at the end of Seneca, and it edged on the brook there, and also Lincoln Boulevard. The letter that we got from the attorney for the estate is that there's probably some back taxes due, and they would donate the property to the borough. I think it's a good move on our part. We've probably used it, well, I've known Wall probably more than 30 years, so I think it's been used by the borough more than 30 years. It's only a small park at one time. I think we had a small basketball court, maybe a small amount of playground equipment, I'm not sure that's even there, no, I haven't had the opportunity to go down. But we won't deal with that today. I'll put that out and make sure that oh, they do. I don't want to bring it tonight, but I know, does the council have anything they want to add? Councilman Takish,
No,
Council President Gamino.
Not at this time, Mayor.
Councilman Takish.
At this time, Mayor.
I have something new that I had to ask for years, it's privilege of the floor, and I guess it's anyone that wants to speak on the item on the, it's on the agenda, and that we want to know. Try to be kind because it's my first meeting.
Peter Carroll, 432 Giles Avenue. Just have a few questions and comments. Congratulations to our new council people. One thing had to do with appointments. I noticed on the Borough website that Steve Pecota was appointed to the Flood Advisory Committee, and I was just wondering why it was after he had threatened litigation against the town. Also, in regards to the radios, perhaps you could bring up when you meet with our consultant, Sean. I know that you asked if there were other towns in worse shape because the permits might have been not up to date with what they had and whatnot. Can you find out what the consequences were for that? Whether they had fines or, possibly delays in getting permits for that or increased permit fees because of the fact that they were out of compliance?
I do have answers for that if you want to hear them now.
That'd be great.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to allow this today, but in the future, what I'd like to have is you bring one item up and then give someone else the opportunity and back and forth. But I'm going to allow it today because this is a first meeting. I don't want you to be mad at me yet. So go ahead. You have an answer.
Absolutely. In regards to compliancy, if we're not compliant by January 1st, 2013, there'll be no radio communications in the borough whatsoever. Due to the license we currently have and the issues we currently are addressing, we need to separate them correctly. Now, as he stated, we do not have any issues with stepping on anybody with communications. There hasn't been any complaints with Middlesex Borough, which is great. If we don't comply by that date, we give the right up to our license, as he stated also. If we delay and we are not compliant by that date, then we will not have communication with the fire department, rescue squad, or police. We will be fined if we don't handle it correctly, and possibly one of our licenses can be taken away. Because currently we're operating on 2 licenses rather than 3. Okay, there is a possibility it could be taken away from us, and that would present a major problem.
That I understand. What I'm saying is because we're currently operating on 2 licenses rather than 3, when we go to have that amended, are there going to be consequences that we didn't fix this to begin with? You understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
is there
absolutely.
going to be an extra fine on top of this?
No, actually, now's the time to get it corrected. That's why we're hiring, we're looking to hire a consultant to do this properly, who deals with FCC in Washington. As he stated earlier, there's only a handful of people who do this. We really need to do this correctly. Here's our opportunity to address this issue. After this, the only opportunity we have is not have radio communication from both the county band.
Very good.
You have another question before I answer your first question?
Yeah, actually I do. And actually, I have 2 more, and they're both directed towards you, Mayor. The other one was in regards to the garbage being two times a week. Granted, I like the garbage being 2 times a week. I understand why we're at once a week, in an attempt to save money. And I do think that we should go to, committee and find all this stuff out. But you had mentioned you thought it was a public health hazard, and I was wondering if you had a degree in public health, because how can we just arbitrarily say
I just talked to many people last year, and the animals that we got in, and I don't know about your area, but it was all over the yards in our place. Even though we had sealed containers, somehow they got in. And we had a lot of people that I think were, a lot of animals, raccoons that got in places that I wouldn't believe got into the attics. I just don't know how they did it. We had 2 houses in my area, one city and one.
Understand. And then the last question is, You made a comment earlier in the meeting when we had taken a vote on DPW workers, and I'm glad that you mentioned that Councilwoman Taggish's husband works on DPW, and that you weren't going to count her vote. But I was just wondering, I mean, I feel that probably Councilwoman Taggish should have abstained, however she didn't. Are you legally able to just not count her vote?
No. I'm not sure I can do that legally. I did it, and I take full responsibility. I think she's new to the council. I've taken that action before the closed session by moving the things around that she'll have to do. In the future, I will be more due diligent on making sure that if there's any blame, it's mine, not hers. She's brand new, so if you want to blame somebody, it's me.
Very good, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
If you want, don't leave without one more thing. The mayor wants to.
If there is a vote that, if there's a vote that was inadvertently counted, or if there's a vote that was illegal, it's the mayor's prerogative, the council's prerogative to discount that vote. There was enough votes to pass the resolution. The vote was 4-3, and that was the deciding vote. Obviously, that would be a different issue. But it would be as though that vote had not been cast. I think that Councilwoman Taggish understands that those matters in the future she would be precluded from voting on.
In regard to your first question, I put a lot of people on that I didn't know. In this case, the gentleman you mentioned is a neighbor of mine, and I happen to think he did an outstanding job. Whether you agree with him or not, his philosophy, I think his heart is in the right place. And I have a whole slew of people, and I'll tell you one thing that embarrassed me, because I was at a meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers, and the young lady said that I had talked to him. And I didn't know that I had talked to him. But after the meeting, I said, well, you know, I formed a new flood advisory council. She said, yes, I know, and you put me on it. So mayors aren't too smart sometimes. But I don't think Stephen has it in mind. I think that he had some good ideas, and one of them is to double check what the Army Corps of Engineers is doing, and I think we want to do it. I met with Mr. Kaplan's group last night. He might want to make a statement, but my point is I'm looking for alternate sources that we cannot afford to do that. We're talking about an architectural engineer, and we're planning on another meeting at the high school. It's going to be up to Councilman Kaplan's committee to set that up. I don't know if that satisfies you, but that's what I did.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Don't forget my 2 hours.
I'm Gary Boyes, I live at 124 Prospect Place. I come before the council tonight to explain the project that hasn't been completed. We started in 2001, 2002. It started by the U.S. Corps of Engineers, and it was the buying of the property from Prospect Place. And 4 people did not take the buyout, we tore down 19 homes. And the project hasn't been completed since then, completed it all. And we did take some steps last year to complete it. And I was wondering if the council this year could explain how we can get it done in 2012, because I lived with a construction fence for 10 years.
The one thing that I was looking into is that I believe the property is still in the hands of the state. It was supposed to go from the state to the county to us. But I will check on that to make sure that's still, is that still where it's at. I also know that someone brought to our attention about maybe outing the lights in the back of that area where cars aren't supposed to go anyway. And I have to think about that and see who brought it before our attention. Maybe we should,
Yeah, it was me. And the state does own the property.
yeah.
But, you know, the Corps of Engineers owned it for 7 years. Now, we have to wait another 7 years, another 7 years for the county, and 7 years after that. I mean,
You must know,
why can't we
you
do
must
something?
know how fast the state
Yeah,
is
but,
working on it.
Mayor, like I said, we live with the construction fence, and that's not right.
The only reason we got Burton Avenue so quick is because they had to make a decision. That was with the Army Corps of Engineers. They were either going to have to pull up, you know, the berms and those protections that to go along the rivers or do the buyout. So they were willing to make any deal with us, and that's what we did. But dealing with FEMA is a little different. But again, I have not checked with the state yet to see what the status is. I used to have a friend, I don't know if he's still there, but I will check and get back to you. Okay? Thank you.
Well, I'll stop down and see you.
Yes, Frank Brown.
Frank Ryan, 303 Maple Street. Mayor, nice to have you back. I don't think we ever really have.
No, listen, no, wait, that's only the introduction, now he's gonna blast it. Go ahead, Mike.
No, just a couple things when you brought up about the people on the internet. Might as well tell them to pound salt. If you listen to that bullshit, you're tying into that. Anybody that can't come up here and say what's on your mind and discuss things, whether you're on one side or another, it doesn't warrant, so I don't know why anybody would even put their computer on and listen to what, somebody trash it. So whether I bash you tonight or not, I'm doing it out in public.
I don't care who bashes you.
What I'm saying, you take it, this is the way you take it, so you shouldn't talk about public employees, their personal lives or whatever they're doing, but it's up to everybody here, then don't even put their computer on. I mean, what's the sense of having somebody bash you or Mr. Demure or Jeff First? I mean, if you're gonna do it, come up here. This is what it's all about.
And probably I should have made that part of my statement, because that's what I wanted to do. If they got it right, I'm in my office every day.
Yeah, that's it, but these people won't come up here and do it. They'll have every idea in the world and call a ball game on a Monday, but when you ask them to participate, they won't do it.
Well, there's one thing that I'm 100% sure, that whoever wrote it was not you, because you're not bashful at
No, I mean, number two, I know. Number two, down the road, whether this council wants to take it, you brought up a couple of good points. You want to help other people out. It's a big undertaking to sit up there, whether you're new or been here for 5 years or whatever. You're not going to be here forever. Administrator position has to be talked about to take the politics out of it. And again, you're willing to put in the time. Other people wouldn't have the time or willing to put in the time. So somewhere down the road, that idea has to be kicked around again to help people that want to serve but don't have all the time in the world. So
It's my aim that, I'll be honest with you, I'm 72 years of age, and this is my last hurrah. My responsibility, whoever's going to be mayor, is to teach what I've learned over the 26 years. Whether it's these council here or future people that come on.
Yeah.
And that's going to be my aim. But in the meantime, I'm going to have a heck of a lot of time and fun helping people.
no, that's great now, and I see it, and it's you've offered your services. But down the road, when you're not here, you're not, whether whoever the mayor is might not have the time that you've devoted all over the years and are willing to do now, and that person might be a terrific person, but just doesn't have the time. So you need somebody in a position that can and take the political football out of it also.
Haven't been too bad, Frank. Give me the hard one, huh?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. I'm glad to be working on the Victor Kraus Park again. Appreciate it with Mr. Demure. And the park, a lot of good things are going to happen. Already, I saw something happen today that I was pleased about. And so we're going to get some stuff done with Betty Platten back again.
Yeah, and if I can just interrupt you a minute. Betty, I have a real bad apology to you and Shirley Penrose. Honest to God, there was no reason why I didn't recognize you as a former council people. Shirley, honest to God, I didn't see her till the end when she walked on. You came up and you were sworn into the committee. I had no excuse. I apologize that I didn't mention you. So I'll mention you now. Former Councilwoman Shirley.
Yep, and glad to have her on the park committee again. She's going to do a good job, always has. So going to do a lot of good things with that park this year. Thank you.
Thanks. Another former friend. How are you?
Good evening, Ursula Lombardi, 517 Edward. Every time I come to a council meeting, I ask about working with the Board of Education, since most of the money that we spend in our budget is for education. will you, will this council be working very closely with the Board of Education?
I have a meeting with the outgoing superintendent. I don't know if you know or not.
Yes, I was there last night.
I am meeting with him and the council president next week. I can't give you a date yet because of the things that happen, but it's going to be next week. And we have a big agenda. If you looked at my speech, we wanted for quality education, but we got to look because about 57% of our budget is the school board.
Right.
And we're looking for a break for the less fortunate citizens, and we have a lot in those.
Right.
We start looking at the homes, and now is not a good time to
That's my next question. I see in your executive session that you're going to be discussing PBA, DPW, and white-collar contract negotiations. As I said last night to the Board of Education.
We can't talk too much about that because.
No, I don't want to talk about it at all. All I'm saying is I'm just mentioning that you are going to be discussing it. And as I said to the Board of Education last night, I don't get an increase. I haven't gotten an increase in 6 years, and I will never get one because of my job and temporary. So therefore, I find it very difficult to have my taxes raised. I think that the employees are doing a great job, except that I think we need to find another way to increase their salaries, like something else, like wind, solar, can we set up farms or something so we can add to the
We
money?
have a committee on solar. One of the young ladies, former Councilwoman Beverly Buss, is here. She's on that committee. We're looking into that with a full committee.
So we could add some money.
I will tell you that many of the people, especially in the administrative area, did not get a raise for 2 years. They were furloughed and everything. The aim that I did mention, I would like to go to a zero-based budget if possible. I know it's going to be hard. I'm really concerned what the governor said about a 10% income tax relief because where's he going to get the money? And I start thinking, here goes our money that we get from the state, and every little bit that goes, there's a lot to Middlesex Borough. So I think the council has heard, your plea on trying to keep the taxes down, and I haven't talked to anyone on this council that isn't for that.
Okay.
And I will definitely convey that message to the board president.
Thank you.
Thank you. Smile. This is bad.
Like a class 5 o'clock, good job tonight, guys. So it's first night back. So. Some commentary that I had though about the DPW discussions that went on here this evening. There seems to be this mindset that the reason why we have once-a-week garbage and the reason why the recycling center's hours got reduced were because of economical reasons. And they really weren't done for economical reasons. It was because the DPW sat here and had such an enormous backlog of work that they couldn't get it done. It was unachievable. And that was even with 6 part-timers on staff. And one thing I didn't hear tonight about, part-time employees and increasing hours for the recycling center is what the DPW commentary actually was and whether they've cleared this backlog, the backlog out. They are tremendously behind, but it doesn't seem like any of the decision-making as far as staffing or what hours of operation we have revolve around what their actual needs are. So there seems to be a disconnect.
Based on the comment that I got from the council matter committee on the needs for a work plan, I'm working with the DPW, but so that committee be working with the DPW. I meet with the DPW every morning at 7:15 and go over the action plan and looking at that. I am not blaming anybody for any actions before me, and anything I recommend I stand behind. Whether the council agrees with it, it's fine with me. I gotta do what I think is right. If they don't agree, that's okay too. I'm not gonna hold anything. It happened when I did, and I'll be honest with you, when I campaigned, I talked to a lot of people on the recycling place, and ever since I made my reorganization speech, I did have several people stop in. I'm not saying 100 people, probably talking about 3. Okay, that were just saying that the thanks. I've also had people say that we're on your side because you're interested in that. The other thing is I think that we really have to help those citizens that are putting recyclables in their sanitation when they get picked up for a lot of reasons. There seems to be no reason other than maybe some that can't do it, handicapped or senior citizen. Because we have the county, we will have the recycling center. The need, I think the council has taken the right approach. All that I want to do is get some movement on this. I did make a recommendation to the NX to give them some, and rightfully so. I think the council asking for more justification. And again, what was done in the past, I have no ill will against anybody. If you did what you had to be done, and I understand.
Yeah, it's okay, I mean, as long as I'm conveying the point that, as long as the DPW is calling it up, then we can go and approve anything, but the truth of the matter is that you can't offer more services to the municipality if we can't even finish the ones that.
I have
are
more, but
responsible.
it's no use to go into it right now. I know if they don't go, that we have a staff, I'm not gonna go into it. You have 20 people, you don't have the part-timers, then, you know, you have to take from the other guys. To be honest with you, our people are getting older too, the more accidents, more health problems. But that's something that we have to discuss with the council, and we'll come with a final.
Just as the meetings progress here and we go on, I'm hoping there's some justification that, you know, millions of dollars of our infrastructure isn't being laid to waste so that we can fulfill some kind of promises without giving people twice a week. Because, you know, it's just not worth the cost of the municipality. We've got to go around and rebuild every storm drain, or hire a contractor to do it. I wouldn't think that'd be fair either, so, that's all.
We understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Hoffman, 455 Middle Boulevard. Hello, everybody. Congratulations to the new mayor and council people. I'm just going to touch on one subject as the mayor asked. And people can take it the way they want to take it or what have you. It's just my observations about a subject that was brought up tonight. The increasing of these part-time workers for DPW. Is anybody aware that the majority of the towns that surround us have once a week garbage pickup and are not infiltrated by vermin and everything else that's going on, but maybe the cats can help us with that. So I don't understand how all of these other towns, you know, are surviving with once a week garbage pickup when we can't, okay? Now I just have some observations.
That's two, John.
Well, it's on the same issue, sir. It's on the same issue. Let's see here.
John and I used to have fun before. He's very serious with it.
I'm always serious. 1/12/12, I went to the Borough Hall to speak to the building and zoning officials. Upon my arrival, 6 DPW workers were standing in the hallway talking to union reps. Shouldn't they have been out working? I must have smelled because as I walked through the group, they quickly dispersed. Upon leaving the town hall, I saw a friend of mine who showed me pictures of all the trash and leaves in the streets and the storm drains. We talked a little bit, and I proceeded to go home. I traveled down Voorhees when I noticed 2 Borough trucks at Haverstick Field. I drove down to see what they were doing. 3 men appeared to be doing what was edging of a field that was left go last year. It wasn't needed by the rec department. There was a great debate whether it was going to be a 60-90 field or a 50-70 field. This field was let go all last year, overgrown with crabgrass, weeds, everything, the infield. Mr. Ryan brought it up, probably brought pictures in on that. Okay, field was neglected all last year, blah, blah, blah. Given the state of other areas in the town, why in God's name are 3 men, 2 trucks messing around in a baseball field in the middle of January? Okay, there's trash in the streets, storm drains are plugged up, tree limbs in parks, there's debris and stuff everywhere. It seems to me they have, if they're working on ball fields in January, something that was abandoned last